The night was quiet, too quiet for a long stretch of highway. A single car moved through the darkness, an old silver sedan with one flickering headlight. Inside sat Alex, a young man in his mid-20s. Tired from a long road trip home after visiting his college friends, he hummed softly to the radio, tapping his fingers on the steering wheel to stay awake. The road signs had disappeared hours ago. The GPS stopped working when his phone battery hit 1%. Still, Alex told himself he was almost home. He just needed to keep driving for another hour, maybe 2. But the forest on both sides of the road seemed endless. No houses, no lights, not even another car passed him by. The air felt heavy. His headlight flickered again. And then static burst through the radio. It was faint at first. A whisper hidden inside the noise, then it grew clearer. A distorted voice spoke from the speaker, saying his name, Alex. "Can you hear me?" His hands froze on the wheel. He turned the radio knob off, silence returned. But his heart was beating too fast now. He looked out the window, nothing but trees and black sky. He laughed nervously to himself. Probably just some weird frequency, he muttered. The laughter stopped when the engine coughed once, then twice, and then died completely. The car rolled to a stop in the middle of the empty highway. Alex tried the key again. Nothing. He tried the lights. Dead, great, just great, he said. Slapping the steering wheel, he checked his phone. The screen was black. Battery dead. The only sound now was the soft ticking of the cooling engine and the wind moving through the trees. He stepped out of the car. The night air was cold and dry. He looked around. The road stretched straight in both directions, vanishing into darkness, no sounds, no lights. No sign of anyone. He popped the hood. Pretending he knew what he was doing, steam hissed softly. Oil smell mixed with burnt rubber. Then he heard something. A crunch of gravel behind him. He turned sharply. Nothing there. "Hello?" he called out. No answer. The forest rustled once, then went still again. He stood still, breathing slowly, trying to calm himself. It was probably an animal, he told himself. Maybe a deer, maybe a fox, but deep down something felt wrong. It wasn't just the silence. It was how the air itself felt. Like the world was waiting for something. Alex climbed back into his car and locked the doors. He turned the key again and still no sound. "Come on," he whispered. Then, from far behind him, a faint light appeared, headlights. Someone was driving toward him. Relief flooded his face. He honked twice, waved his arm out the window. The vehicle slowed down, an old pickup truck with a rusty front bumper. It stopped behind him. A man stepped out, tall, wearing a dark jacket, his face hidden by the shadow of a cap. "You okay there, son?" the man asked, voice calm but deep. Alex hesitated, then nodded. "Car just died out of nowhere," he said. "You wouldn't happen to know a mechanic around here, would you?" The man shook his head slowly. "Not at this hour. Closest town's about 30 miles east, but roads are tricky at night." He walked closer, his boots crunching against gravel. Up close, his face looked weathered. Maybe in his 50s, he gave a polite smile, though something about his eyes felt off. "I'm Mr. Carter," the man said. Holding out his hand, Alex shook it carefully. "Alex?" he replied. Carter looked under the hood, muttering something to himself. "Seems like your alternator's shot," he said after a moment. "Could tow you to my place." "Got tools and a generator there." Alex looked past him. The truck was real. Lights glowing faintly, engine idling softly, but something inside him hesitated. The man's offer sounded reasonable, yet the forest felt heavier now. And when Alex glanced at the truck again, he noticed something strange. The license plate had no numbers. Only scratches. Carter followed his gaze and smiled again. "Don't worry about that. Old truck, lots of history." The wind picked up suddenly. Leaves rustled in the trees, and for a brief moment, Alex thought he saw movement deeper in the wood and a pale face, peeking between 2 trees, gone in an instant. His pulse quickened. He looked back at Carter. The man was watching him closely. "Everything all right?" he asked softly. Alex nodded quickly. Yeah. Just thought I saw something." "Well, you've got 2 options," Carter said. "You can stay here all night. Maybe freeze or get eaten by coyotes," he chuckled dryly. "Or you come with me, we fix your car, and you'll be on your way before sunrise." He smiled again. Waiting for an answer, Alex looked down the empty road. No sign of anyone coming. He looked at the trees, dark, endless, whispering. He looked at Carter, still smiling, still waiting. A feeling of unease crawled up his spine. Then from the radio inside his dead car, A faint whisper came again. Don't go with him. Alex froze, eyes darting toward the car. Carter tilted his head. Everything okay? The voice repeated, softer this time. Stay in the car. Alex took a deep breath. His mind raced between two terrifying options. Trust the stranger who offered help, or stay in the car alone, surrounded by darkness and that strange voice. The headlights flickered once more. Carter's smile didn't fade. The forest waited and the night grew colder. Now the choice was his. Would he trust the stranger, or sleep in the car and hope the morning would come? Alex stood in the cold wind, staring at the stranger. The man's smile didn't fade, even though the night around them seemed to press closer. Carter waited, his hand resting on the hood of the car, as if time itself was patient enough to let Alex decide. Finally, Alex nodded slowly. All right. I'll come with you, he said, his voice shaking a little. Carter grinned. Good choice, son. You won't regret it. He walked to his truck and pulled out a thick metal chain. Together, they hooked Alex's car to the back of the pickup. The forest was completely silent, not a single owl, not a single insect. As the truck pulled forward, the sound of metal dragging across the road echoed between the trees. Alex sat in the passenger seat, watching the headlights cut through the mist ahead. The air inside the truck smelled faintly of gasoline and something metallic. The old radio hummed softly, though Carter hadn't turned it on. After a few minutes of driving, Carter broke the silence. You're lucky I came by when I did, he said, eyes fixed on the road. Not many cars take this route anymore. Alex tried to smile. Yeah, lucky, he murmured. He looked out the window. The trees seemed endless and all looking the same. No road signs, no lights, only darkness and fog. Carter spoke again. So, what brings you out here this late? Just heading home, Alex replied. Was visiting friends in the city? Carter nodded. Long drive, he said softly. Been a while since I took anyone back down this road. Alex frowned slightly. You live far from here? Carter chuckled. Far enough. They drove for another 20 minutes, though it felt much longer than through the fog. A dim light appeared ahead, a small wooden cabin sitting beside the road. A generator buzzed faintly outside, casting a yellow glow through the mist. Carter parked the truck and stepped out. Home sweet home, he said. Pulling his coat tighter, Alex followed, trying not to show his unease. Inside, the cabin smelled like old wood and oil. Tools hung on the walls, and a single lamp flickered in the corner. A large wooden table stood in the middle, covered with half-fixed car parts and tangled wires. Carter motioned to a chair. Sit down, I'll make some coffee. Alex sat, his eyes wandering around the small room. That's when he noticed something strange. The walls weren't plain wood. They were covered with carvings, circles, spirals, strange symbols that looked like eyes. Some were burned into the wood. Others scratched deep at the center of one. He saw what looked like a date, October 22nd. He frowned. That was today, Carter returned. Handing him a steaming mug, the smell was strong, almost bitter. Don't mind the carvings, Carter said, noticing Alex's stare. Just some things my father used to draw. Old superstitions, Alex forced a small laugh. What kind? Carter shrugged. Protection charms, he said. From things that walk these woods, he smiled faintly. Never believed in them myself. Alex took a sip of the coffee. It tasted off, metallic. He set it down quietly, pretending to drink more. Then, from somewhere below them, a faint sound echoed and a soft thump. Like something moving under the floorboards, he froze. Carter didn't react. Just stirred his own drink. Alex pretended not to notice. But his heart raced after a few seconds. It came again, a muffled voice. It sounded like a woman, faint, desperate. Help! The cup slipped from Alex's hand. Spilling onto the table, he jumped slightly. Sorry, he muttered. Carter looked at the mess, then smiled again. Basement pipes, he said calmly. They groan when the generator runs too long. Alex nodded, though his hands trembled slightly. He looked toward the small door in the corner, half hidden behind a shelf. The noise came again, this time clearer. It wasn't pipes. It was a voice. Please, don't let him see you. Alex stood up slowly. Carter's eyes followed him. Everything all right? Yeah, Alex lied. Just need some air. He walked toward the door, pretending to stretch his legs. Carter smiled again, but his eyes were sharp now. Be careful out there, he said softly. Night's full of things you can't see. Alex stepped outside, closing the door behind him. Cold air hit his face. He leaned against the porch railing. Breathing hard, his phone was still dead, the forest still silent, but under the wooden boards, he could hear faint tapping, like someone trying to send a message. He crouched down, whispering, "Who's there?" For a moment, there was nothing. Then a weak voice answered, "He's not what he seems." Alex's blood ran cold. He stood up quickly, eyes scanning the windows of the cabin. Carter was inside, humming softly, cleaning the table, completely calm. Alex backed away slowly. He thought about running, but his car was still attached to Carter's truck. And the road, he didn't even know where it led anymore. Still, something inside told him he couldn't stay here. He had to know what was in that basement. He stepped back toward the door. The voice under the floor grew weaker. "Please hurry." Alex reached for the doorknob, but before he could open it, the door swung inward. Carter stood there smiling. "Looking for something?" he asked softly. Alex froze. Carter's smile widened. "You've been here before," he said. Then everything went silent. The generator, the wind, even the trees Alex didn't understand before. He tried to speak, but Carter's expression changed. The friendly look vanished, replaced by something cold and ancient. "Don't make the same choice again," Carter whispered. And the lights went out. The screen fades to black. The sound of the whispering woman returns this time. She says one thing clearly: basement or run. CYOA choice. Investigate the basement, run into the woods. Alex stood frozen in the dark cabin. Carter's shadow loomed before him, tall and unmoving. The only sound left was Alex's heartbeat. Loud in his ears, the lamp had gone out and the world had turned silent. Carter's words echoed in his head. "You've been here before." It made no sense, but somehow it felt true. His hands trembled, his breath shallow. Then came that faint whisper again, the one from beneath the floor. "Basement, please." Alex's eyes darted toward the small door in the corner. It was slightly open now, a weak yellow light spilling through the cracks. When he looked back, Carter was gone. The door leading outside was still swinging from the wind. Alex's choice came down to two paths: enter the basement or run for his life. He took one step forward. The air around him seemed to hum, low and deep. The carvings on the walls and the loops, the eyes, the strange symbols looked as if they were shifting, moving slightly under the flickering light. He swallowed hard, grabbed the lamp and opened the basement door. Path 1, the basement. The wooden stairs creaked under his feet. Each step echoed into the shadows below. The smell grew stronger, damp earth and old metal. The air felt thick, heavy with something he couldn't name. At the bottom, he found a small room lit by a single hanging bulb. On the floor sat an old tape recorder. Still spinning, beside it was a broken chair. Ropes scattered around it, and on the far wall, written in red paint, "Don't trust him." Alex's heart pounded. He picked up the recorder and pressed play. A voice crackled through the static, his own. "This is Alex. I don't know how many times this has happened. But if you're hearing this, don't talk to him again. Don't—" The tape cut off suddenly. He dropped it in shock. How can this be me?" he whispered. A noise came from behind, soft footsteps, slow and careful. He turned, lamp shaking in his hand. Carter stood at the bottom of the stairs, face calm but eyes empty. "I told you not to come down here," he said. Alex stumbled backward. "What is this place?" Carter tilted his head. "It's where every wrong choice ends up." Before Alex could run, the bulb flickered violently and burst. Darkness swallowed him. A woman's voice screamed, "Run!" He bolted up the stairs, slamming the door behind him. When he turned the handle again, it was locked. The carvings on the wall glowed faintly, pulsing like veins under the wood. Path 2, the forest for those who chose to run. Alex sprinted out of the cabin. The night air hit his face, cold and sharp. Branches tore at his clothes as he pushed through the trees. Behind him, he heard Carter's calm voice calling. "You can run, but you'll come back." He didn't stop. He ran until his lungs burned and his legs screamed. The road was gone. Only forest surrounded him now. He looked back once. Carter's truck lights flickered in the distance, then vanished. He stumbled upon an old dirt path and followed it blindly. It led him to a clearing, an abandoned campsite. A burnt-out fire pit sat in the center. Beside it, a single object lay half buried in the dirt. A photograph. He picked it up carefully. The image was faded, water-stained. It showed him, standing by the same silver sedan. but the date printed at the bottom read October 22nd, 1997. 28 years ago, he dropped the photo. The forest began to hum softly. The trees whispered his name, and from behind him, a voice said, "You never left." "Alex," he turned. Carter stood there again, lantern in hand, smiling. How did you?" Carter's voice overlapped itself. "Like an echo. You've run before many times," he said, "and every time, you end up right here." Alex took a step back. But when he turned around, his car sat in the middle of the clearing, headlights dim, engine cold exactly how he'd left it on the highway. It was impossible. He touched the hood, still warm. His reflection in the windshield flickered. For a split second, it wasn't him. Paths converge. The loop revealed. No matter the path, the basement or the forest, Alex found himself standing beside his broken-down car again. The same road, the same trees, the same silence. His heart pounded as he looked around. Even the sky seemed identical. Down to the exact shape of the clouds, he opened the car door. The keys were in the ignition. He turned them slowly. The engine roared to life. Static filled the radio once more. Through the noise, a voice spoke. "Round 2 begins." It was his own voice, calm and empty. He stared at the radio in disbelief. "Who are you?" he whispered. The voice replied, "I'm you, the one who stayed." Alex's breathing quickened. The headlights flashed on by themselves. The forest shimmered. Bending at the edges like melted glass, he saw himself again. Standing by the road, and only this version of him didn't move. Didn't blink, it just watched, its lips parted slowly, mouthing the same words Carter had said before. "You've been here before." The car engine sputtered, the light faded, and once again, Alex was trapped between two choices: stay in the car and follow the road ahead, or get out and face the truth waiting in the woods. The wind whispered the same phrase over and over. Every choice matters. The radio clicked again, this time. A woman's voice came through, soft but urgent. "One of your choices breaks the loop." Static swallowed her final words. "The rest, keep you forever." Alex gripped the steering wheel. The same crossroad ahead. The same silence pressing down, and deep inside, he knew. This wasn't the first night he'd lived through it. CYOA choice, follow the road ahead. Search the woods again. Alex sat behind the wheel. Staring at the empty road ahead, the air was cold again. The same kind of cold that made his breath fog up on the glass. The headlights stretched far down the cracked highway. Cutting through the mist, everything looked exactly as it had before. He touched the dashboard. Dust, coffee stains. Even the same cracked map folded on the seat beside him. His hands trembled. He whispered softly, "This can't be happening." But deep down, he already knew it was. The night was repeating. He started the car. The engine worked perfectly now, humming like nothing had ever gone wrong. He checked his phone. Full battery, no missed calls, everything reset. But his memory hadn't. He looked into the mirror. The dark outline of the forest stared back for a moment. He thought he saw movement between the trees, a flicker of light, a shadow of someone familiar. He blinked and it was gone. The radio came alive again, bursting with static. Then faintly, a voice whispered, "Welcome back, Alex." He froze. It was his own voice, calm but hollow. "Don't be afraid. You're learning," it said. Alex turned the knob off, but the radio wouldn't stop. It kept whispering the same line. "You're learning. You're learning." He hit the dashboard hard. The radio went silent. Outside, the forest began to hum, a low vibration in the air, almost like the ground itself was alive. Alex stepped out of the car. The air smelled like rain, though no drops had fallen. He walked a few steps down the road. His shoes crunched on the gravel. Then he noticed something strange. There were footprints ahead, leading into the woods. He crouched to look closer. They were his own. The same tread, the same size. He followed them slowly, every instinct screaming at him to stop. The forest swallowed him in seconds. The trees seemed taller now, bent inward like they were listening. Every few seconds he heard whispers, not words, just sounds that felt too human to be wind. Then in the distance a faint glow appeared. A lantern swinging slowly, Carter's lantern. Alex froze. He wanted to run, but his legs refused. The light came closer, and then Carter's calm voice echoed through the trees. "You should have stayed on the road." Alex spun around. Carter was behind him, though the lantern still glowed ahead. Two voices, one man. He backed away. "What do you want from me?" Carter smiled. You already gave it, the forest shimmered. For a second, the trees twisted into shapes. Cars, faces, hands reaching out from the bark. Alex stumbled backward and tripped. He landed on something soft. Dry leaves covering a mound of dirt. When he brushed them aside, he saw a piece of metal. A car license plate, it was his. He looked around in horror. Half buried in the ground were twisted car parts. Headlights, steering wheels, rusted frames, all his car. Over and over, different versions, slightly different shapes, but all his. Everyone had the same number scratched onto it. 22. Then the whisper came again, a woman's voice clearer this time. You keep choosing wrong, Alex. He turned, trying to see her. A pale figure stood between two trees, her face hidden by her hair. Who are you? He shouted. She stepped closer. I was like you, she said softly, and I thought I could escape. Her hand lifted, pointing toward the road. There's one choice that breaks the loop, but you keep trusting the wrong one. Her voice trembled. Carter isn't real. He's the loop itself. Before Alex could ask more, her face twisted, her eyes went black. Her voice distorted. Time's up, she whispered. The forest lights dimmed, and he was standing by his car again. He gasped. The transition was instant, like blinking. The headlights were on, the engine running, and the radio whispered softly. Round 3. He gripped the steering wheel. He screamed, hitting the horn. Why? What do you want from me? The voice answered calmly. To choose. The world around him flickered like static on a broken TV. 1 second it was night, the next it was dawn, then night again. He saw flashes, himself standing in Carter's cabin, himself running through the woods, himself lying on the road, eyes open, unblinking. All of them saying the same thing. You've been here before. The lights flickered. The radio crackled again, now showing a faint signal on the screen. Frequencies flashing like coordinates in the corner. Scribbled letters glowed faintly. LOOP, he whispered. It's not just a curse. It's something bigger. Then the woman's voice returned, urgent. You must remember the journal. Find it before he does. Alex looked at the passenger seat. A small, old leather notebook sat there. He hadn't seen it before. He opened it. Every page filled with his own handwriting, each entry dated October 22nd. Every single one ending with the same sentence. I made the wrong choice again. His hands shook as he turned the pages. Each page showed drawings. The cabin, Carter's face, the forest paths. At the bottom of one page, he found something new. 2 words written in red ink. Burn it, the radio voice whispered immediately. Don't, Alex's heart pounded. He realized this was the next choice. He could follow the journal's instructions and burn it, or keep it, hoping it held the key to breaking the loop. He held the book in one hand, lighter in the other. The wind outside grew louder, trees bending, voices calling his name. Carter's voice came through the radio again. Go on. Alex, make your choice. The lighter flame flickered. The journal trembled in his hands as if alive. Smoke filled the air before he even decided. His vision blurred. The forest spun, and in that dizzy haze, he heard both voices, the woman and Carter, overlapping. One choice breaks the loop. The rest bind you forever. The screen fades to black, the car horn blares once, and the whisper returns. Will you burn it or open it again? CYOA choice. Follow the journal's instructions. Burn it, keep it. Search for hidden answers. The flames danced on the edge of the lighter. Alex stared at the journal, his reflection flickering on its worn cover. The air was thick, heavy with whispers from the forest. Each gust of wind seemed to carry a warning or a dare. He took a deep breath. Not yet, he muttered. He closed the lighter and shoved both it and the journal into his jacket pocket. If there were answers, they were inside those pages, not in ashes. The car headlights cut through the darkness, but now something was wrong. The shadows didn't behave like shadows anymore. They moved too slowly, they clung to the edges of the trees. Watching, waiting, Alex started driving, his hand shaking on the wheel. The radio flickered between static and faint voices. Then Carter's calm drawl returned. I knew you'd choose that. Alex's stomach twisted. Who are you really? He shouted. Carter chuckled softly. Just someone who's been where you are. The voice paused. But you're getting closer. Alex slammed the brakes. The car screeched to a stop. The headlights shone on something ahead of a small cabin. Standing in the middle of nowhere, it was old, crooked, and too familiar. His pulse spiked. It was the same cabin from his sketches in the journal. He stepped out. The wind hissed like a living thing. The forest around him swayed as though breathing. When he reached the cabin door, he noticed strange marks carved into the wood, symbols, circles, spirals, and a number scratched over and over, 22. Inside, dust hung in the air like fog. A lantern glowed faintly on the table. Beside it lay a mug half full of coffee and still warm, and a coat hung by the door, Carter's coat. Alex's heart pounded. He whispered, "You're here." A voice from behind answered, "Always have been." Alex spun around. Carter stood there, smiling the same calm smile. Only this time something was off. His eyes looked empty, like glass. Alex stepped back. "What are you?" he asked quietly. Carter tilted his head. "You think I'm a man?" he said softly. "You think I just found you on the road?" He walked slowly toward Alex. "No, I'm what's left of him." Alex's throat went dry. "What do you mean?" Carter's grin widened. "This place eats people, Alex," he said. "Every time someone gets lost on this road, it takes something from them, a piece of their soul, and then builds another loop." He lifted a hand to his chest. "I was the first." The room flickered. For a brief second, Carter's skin split like static, showing flashes of other faces beneath. Dozens, maybe hundreds. All of us trusted someone, or made the wrong choice, he said. "And now we guide the next one." Alex's head spun. He stumbled back and grabbed the table. "Why me?" he yelled. Carter's voice lowered. "Because you don't remember what you did." Alex froze. "What are you talking about?" Carter stepped closer. "You weren't lost here by accident," he whispered. "You came looking for someone." He reached for the journal in Alex's pocket. "Open it and you'll remember." Alex pulled the book out with trembling hands. He flipped through the pages again, but this time, the words began to change. Letters crawled across the paper like insects, rewriting themselves into new sentences. He read them aloud. "October 22nd, I came to find her. The crash wasn't an accident." His breath caught. Beneath the entry, a photo appeared, faded but real. A girl with bright eyes smiling beside an old car. He whispered, "Mia." His sister. The air around him grew colder. Carter's voice echoed, "She came here first, Alex." He turned. Carter's smile was gone now, replaced by something sharper, darker. She made her choice. And now she's part of the loop too. Alex's hands shook as he clutched the photo. "She didn't deserve this," he said. "No one does," Carter replied. "But it keeps feeding on guilt, on fear, on choices." He looked down. "And now it's your turn to feed it." The walls began to tremble. The lantern light flickered wildly. The whispers outside grew louder, overlapping voices, and some male, some female, all chanting the same phrase. "Choose or repeat." Alex backed away toward the door. "I'm not part of this," he shouted. Carter's face twisted. "Then break it," he hissed. The floorboard split open beneath them, glowing red like molten cracks. Carter's body began to flicker again. Multiple versions of him blinking in and out like broken frames. Each one spoke a different line. "You trusted me once, you left her. You're already dead." Alex ran, bursting through the door and into the storm. Rain poured down for the first time all night. He sprinted to his car and slammed the door shut, gasping. The headlights flickered to life, but Carter's reflection was in the rearview mirror. Only this time he looked. Different, younger, human, terrified, the real Carter. He spoke weakly. "Burn it, Alex. Please." His voice cracked with desperation. "They lied to me too." Alex's eyes filled with tears. He reached for the lighter again. The journal sat on the seat beside him. Raindrops pounded against the window like a heartbeat. The radio whispered, "If you burn it, the loop ends for both of you." Another voice overlapped it, the woman from before. "No. If you burn it, you'll lose her forever." Alex's chest tightened. He looked at the photo again. Mia's smile blurred through the rain. He could almost hear her voice saying, "Don't forget me." He closed his eyes, flame in one hand, journal in the other. The road outside began to glow red. Every sound faded except his own heartbeat. Now it was down to one impossible decision. CYOA choice. Burn the journal. End the loop, but lose Mia forever. Keep the journal. Try to save her. risk being trapped forever. The lighter flame trembled. The journal's cover pulsed softly, like it was breathing, and the screen faded to black. A whisper echoed in the dark. Every choice has a price, Alex. The rain fell harder now. It beat against the windshield like 1,000 tiny fists. Alex sat in silence, his hand trembling around the lighter. The journal's cover pulsed faintly, like it had a heartbeat of its own. He looked down at Mia's photo. Her smile seemed softer now, like she knew what was coming. His eyes burned with tears. He whispered, "I won't lose you again." And with that, he closed the lighter. He kept the journal. The moment he made his choice, the rain stopped. Completely, no sound, no wind, no air. The silence was heavy, so heavy that it pressed against his ears until it hurt. Then the world blinked, the forest vanished, the car was gone. Alex found himself standing in the middle of a long, empty road under a blood-red sky. The ground shimmered like glass, reflecting his every move. The journal was still in his hands, but now its cover bore a single line burned into the leather. "You chose memory," a voice echoed through the air. It was Carter's, but different, softer, distant. "You shouldn't have done that." Alex spun around. Carter stood far down the road, his figure flickering between man and shadow. Alex shouted, "You said I could save her." Carter shook his head slowly. "No, I said you could try." Alex's chest tightened. He started walking toward Carter. Every step made the ground ripple like liquid glass. The red light bent and shimmered. Shapes began forming in the distance. Cars, trees, even people. Ghost-like echoes of moments that had already happened. He saw himself arguing with Carter at the cabin. He saw the woman in the woods whispering. He saw Mia, standing in the rain. Looking right at him, her voice echoed faintly. "Why didn't you let me go?" He ran toward her image, but each step pushed her further away. The ground between them stretched endlessly. He screamed her name. "Mia!" Her voice broke. "You weren't supposed to remember." Then everything shattered like glass. The world folded in on itself. Alex fell, and not through space, but through time. Images flashed around him like memories projected on thin air. His childhood, the accident, Mia's laughter. And then a crash, twisted metal. Blinding headlights, he gasped as he realized. The night of the crash wasn't just a memory, it was this road. He hit the ground hard. Dust rose around him when he opened his eyes. He was standing beside a broken-down car. His car. Smoke poured from the hood. The exact moment the loop had first begun, only now everything was wrong. The air shimmered with energy. Figures stood all around him. Half-transparent, ghostly versions of himself. Each one holding a journal, each one repeating the same line in unison. "I made the wrong choice again." Alex backed away. No, not again," he shouted. The ghosts turned their heads toward him, their eyes black, their voices merging into one. "You kept her alive," they said. But memory feeds the road. The ground split open beneath them. From the cracks, dark smoke rose, twisting into human shapes. Whispers, regrets, and screams merging into one horrible sound. Carter's voice echoed through it all. "Now you see the price of remembering." Alex fell to his knees. He opened the journal again. The pages were bleeding ink, words shifting faster than he could read. Then one line formed clearly. "To save her, you must forget yourself." His breath caught. He looked up. Mia was standing in front of him now, real. Solid, her eyes full of tears. "Alex," she whispered, "you kept me alive. But you're the one who's trapped now." He shook his head. "No, we can find another way." She smiled sadly. "There isn't one. The road takes one memory to free another." The realization hit him like a knife. To save her, he had to lose himself. Every memory, every piece of who he was, gone. Carter appeared beside her, his expression unreadable. He spoke quietly. "You can end it, Alex. Let her live. Let her go. Forget everything. Forget you." He pointed to the journal. "It's not a book anymore. It's your life written down. Burn it and you burn your name out of time." Alex's hands trembled. He looked at Mia, the sister he had spent every loop trying to save. Her face was calm, but her eyes begged him to stop. "You'll forget me too," she said softly. He nodded. "I know." He flicked the lighter one last time. The flame caught the corner of the journal. Fire spread quickly, pages curling, ink melting into black ash. As it burned, the world began to fade, the ghosts vanished. Carter's shadow dissolved into smoke. and Mia smiled one last time before disappearing into white light. Alex stood alone on the road. Everything was quiet again. He felt lighter, calm, empty. The fire went out, and the ashes scattered into the wind. Then slowly, a new sound filled the air. The rumble of an engine. A car was coming down the road, headlights cutting through the mist. Inside, a woman was driving, her map open on the seat beside her. Her radio crackled to life, static, then a faint whisper. "Welcome. Traveler." The camera pans up. The same road? Endless and glowing, faintly red beneath the surface. The loop was broken, but something new had begun. Or maybe it had just started over. CYOA choice. Final part tease. Stay forgotten. The loop ends, peacefully return. Start the road again, with no memory. The whisper fades into the wind, and the headlights disappear into the fog. The sky was gray. Mist rolled over the endless road like waves over a dead ocean. A single car engine hummed quietly in the distance. Inside sat a young woman. Her name was Ella. She had been driving for hours, trying to reach a small town that no longer showed on her GPS. Her phone flickered between no signal and searching. The map on her seat was damp with spilled coffee. She sighed, tapping the wheel. "Great. Another detour," she muttered. The road stretched forever ahead, cracked and lonely. On both sides stood a wall of dark trees. No sound but the steady hum of the tires, then a flicker. The headlights dimmed for a second. When they came back, there was a man standing on the roadside. He wasn't waving, just standing still as a statue. Watching her car approach, Ella slowed down. The man looked familiar, like someone she'd seen in a dream. He wore an old jacket torn at the sleeves. His face was tired, eyes gentle but distant as she pulled over. He stepped forward. "Need help?" she called through the window. He smiled faintly. "Not me," he said softly. "You do." His voice was calm, steady, like someone who already knew her answer before she spoke. Ella frowned. "What do you mean?" He leaned closer. "This road, it remembers," he whispered, and then he placed something on her hood, a small, burnt notebook. Before she could respond, a gust of wind passed through the car, and he was gone. Completely. Just empty road again. Her heart raced. She looked at the notebook. Its cover was scorched, but still legible. A single word remained. "Alex." She opened it. The first page read, "If you find this, turn back." The rest of the pages were blank. Except one, near the end, it said, "The road never ends, only changes drivers." She swallowed hard. The wind outside picked up again. Whispers echoed faintly through the trees. They sounded like words, maybe names. She started the car and drove on, but now the radio came alive. Static, then a voice, faint but familiar. "Ella." "Turn around." She froze. "Who's there?" No answer. Just the same voice again. "Turn around." Her pulse pounded in her ears. She slammed the brakes. The headlights flickered. And in front of her, standing in the middle of the road, Barty, was Alex. Only this time he wasn't a man. He was something between light and shadow. A figure half real, half memory. He looked at her with tired eyes. "You shouldn't be here," he said softly. Ella's hands trembled on the wheel. "I don't know where else to go." Alex nodded slowly. "Then you'll have to choose." She blinked. "What do you mean?" He stepped closer. "The road gives two choices to everyone who gets lost," he said. "Forget or remember." He raised a hand. A faint red glow spread across the road beneath her car. The same cracks that had followed him before. The same mark, 22, glowing through the mist. Ella's breath hitched. "This place isn't real, is it?" Alex shook his head. "It's real enough to keep you." The wind howled louder. The trees leaned inward, whispering names she didn't know. "Who are you?" she asked. He smiled faintly. "I used to be someone who tried to save a life." His voice cracked. "And I became the road instead." For a second, the fog cleared, and Ella saw flashes of everything. The crash, the cabin, the forest. The journal, Mia's smile, Carter's empty eyes. Every loop, every choice, every scream. It all played before her like a movie she never filmed. Her voice trembled. "Why show me this?" Alex looked down. "Because maybe you'll make a better choice." He stepped back. Behind him, the road split into two. One path glowing red, the other shimmering white. He said quietly, "One road will take you home, but you'll forget this ever happened. The other road keeps your memory, but it never ends." She stared at the two paths. her eyes darting between them. "Which one did you take?" she asked. He smiled sadly. "Both." The world began to shake. The wind roared, the radio screamed with static, and the car engine revved on its own. Alex's figure began to fade. His last words were barely a whisper. "Whatever you do, don't stop." Then he was gone. The fog swallowed everything. The journal on her seat opened by itself. The pages filled with new words. Every traveler leaves a story. Every story becomes the road. Ella gripped the wheel. Tears in her eyes, she whispered, "I'm not afraid," and pressed the pedal. The car roared forward. The red and white roads merged into one. For a moment, everything went quiet. Just the sound of her heartbeat and the endless hum of tires on asphalt. Then, in the distance, a faint figure appeared on the side of the road again. Someone new, someone waiting for a ride. Ella slowed down instinctively, and as she did, the radio crackled one last time. Alex's voice whispered, "Welcome to the loop." The headlights faded into the fog, and the camera panned upward, showing the endless, glowing road stretching beneath a crimson sky. Each curve of the road pulsing faintly, like veins under skin, alive and breathing. A final whisper echoed through the static. "Every choice leaves a mark, and the road remembers them all."